July 1st, 2025, Canada Day. While most of the country celebrated with fireworks and family gatherings, a different kind of explosion rocked the quiet city of Greater Sudbury in Ontario. Not the crackle of firecrackers, but the shattering of a family. Sad. In the early hours of the morning, an act of unimaginable violence turned a home into a crime scene. One elderly woman lay dying, another clung to life. Two young children were left traumatized, and the man at the center of it all was on the run. Hello everybody, welcome back again to my channel. My name is Wemimo and I'm also known as That Mama 5, and welcome back to this channel. So, how the emergency call came. At exactly 12:35 a.m., emergency services were called to a home on Lawn Street. The initial report was that a domestic dispute was going on, but what awaited them was far more than a typical family argument. Outside the house, officers discovered a 32-year-old woman, later identified as Lydia Ogbejiele, bleeding from multiple stab wounds. She had fled her own home in the dead of the night, wounded and terrified, seeking help in the streets. It's sad. Neighbors heard her cries. One of them made a 911 call that would spark a tragic unraveling. A raveling of a woman who came to do omugo but was going back to Nigeria in a coffin. So inside the house was the mother's final moment, the mother who came to do omugo for her daughter. So as officers pushed through the front door of the home, they were met with the grim aftermath of violence. Instead, inside of that home was lying lifeless on the floor was a 63-year-old woman, Lydia's mother. She had suffered multiple stab wounds. She did not survive. It's a shame she lost her life. This was no stranger. She had come to stay with her daughter, possibly to help her through a difficult time, looking after babies, possibly sensing something wasn't right in the home. That decision, though made with love, has now cost her her life, that she's going to be sent back in a box back to Nigeria. The room bore signs of brutal struggle, blood on the floor, furniture knocked over, a story of panic and rage told through broken objects and silence. Our daughter she opened a GoFundMe. I'm going to put the link somewhere in this video. So the two children were actually caught in the crossfire. Yes, two children that witnessed what the children have experienced. As investigators cleared the house, they found two children inside, young, confused and clearly shaken. Their exact ages have not been released. What is known is this: they were unharmed physically, and I'm super happy, but they had witnessed or been dangerously close to a night that changed everything for them. The children were taken into protective custody, but questions remained. What did they see? What did they hear? And what will the long-term impact be on these young minds, now which has been forever marked by tragedy? Guys, let me know your thought and opinion in regards to this in the comment section. So, like I said, the man who did this thing was actually on the run. So the suspect is known as a 36-year-old Lucky Ogbeijielele, was nowhere to be found. He had fled the scene moments before police arrived, but not without injuries. Authorities believed he sustained a leg wound, possibly during the attack or while he was escaping. Police issued an alert to the public, urging residents to stay cautious because a dangerous man was loose in the community, injured and potentially armed. Search teams were dispatched to find this man immediately, aided by dogs, drones, and boots on the ground. The city of Sudbury in Canada, normally peaceful, became the center of a tense and urgent manhunt. This is a very, very sad news, and I'm just super sad for those two children. Okay, so this man was, they were all over the place, and they found him. They eventually arrested him in the woods after nearly 36 hours of intensive searching. A tip led officers to a wooded area off Alder Street. There, just before noon on the 2nd of July, they found the suspect. Lucky was found hiding among the trees, injured and disoriented. He committed that crime and he ran. Authorities reported he had what appeared to be self-inflicted wounds. He was taken into custody without resistance and he was transported to an hospital where police are watching him. Yeah, they took him to a hospital. The manhunt was over, but the investigation had only just begun. What actually happened? What was the offense of this mama that came for Omugo? So what are the charges, and obviously what will the legal aftermath be? With the suspect in custody now, charges were formally laid: first-degree murder, attempted murder, forcible confinement, choking, possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose. His time in jail is going to be very, very long, and now that his victim died because of his injuries, Lucky was deemed unfit to appear in court immediately. His bail hearing was delayed and he remained under police supervision in hospital. The justice system moved forward, but for Lydia and for the children, the consequences would linger long beyond legal proceedings. She lost her mom, the mom who came to help her. She lost her mom. Lydia has actually finally spoken out. She's a lovely, people who have spoken great about her. So while she was also recovering from her own wounds, Lydia did something many survivors cannot. She spoke out, and I'm super glad she did. In interviews with Nigerian and Canadian media, she recounted the moment her husband turned violent, the sudden stabbing, the horror in the children's eyes, and the final screams of her mother, her 62-year-old mom who came to help her beloved daughter. She described a scene of terror and survival, of blood and betrayal. Her story was raw, harrowing, and deeply personal, but it was also an act of strength. A woman refusing to let her voice be silenced. Her survival was not just physical, it was emotional, psychological, and symbolic. I'm sure you agree with me. Let me know your thoughts and opinion in the comment section, guys. So, a daughter's grief, she's grieving, and she's asking for help, which means that she's fundraising to get her mom back to Nigeria. In the weeks following the tragedy, Lydia launched a fundraising campaign with one heartbreaking goal. And that goal is to return her mother's body to Nigeria for burial. It was a final, gesture of respect. A daughter trying to restore dignity to her mother after an undignified death. I don't even know how Nigerians are going to, even her extended family, I don't know how they're going to look at her. The fundraiser has actually gained traction. Supporters from both Canada and Nigeria contributed. Messages of grief and solidarity poured in. Even as she faced medical recovery, legal battles, and caring for her children, Lydia now carried another burden: to bury her mother properly, to say goodbye, not in a foreign morgue, but on a native soil. This story offers several powerful lessons and warnings, not just one about individuals' actions, but about societal patterns, silence, and the consequences of ignoring early signs. Here are key takeaways for you and I, because we don't all know it all. But then I believe there are key lessons to be taken. And number one is domestic violence often escalates when left unaddressed. And the warning is this: whatever begins as verbal abuse, control, or emotional manipulation can spiral into physical violence and even murder if it is not acknowledged and confronted early. Number two lesson is this: never minimize or excuse signs of abuse. If someone feels unsafe or intimidated in their relationship, they should seek help immediately. Even if there has not been physical violence yet, don't wait until it happens. Survivors may feel trapped by culture, shame, or fear, but there's a warning. In many cultures, including some immigrant communities, victims of domestic violence are pressured to keep quiet. They are pressured to keep family matters private, leading them to suffer in silence. Don't do that. And here is a lesson: we must create a safe, judgment-free environment for victims to speak up, especially in communities where domestic abuse is still stigmatized or hidden behind cultural norms. And I know you and I, you know what I'm saying there. I don't need to sugarcoat it to you. Red flags are often visible but ignored. Here is a warning for you. Friends, family members, and neighbors may notice controlling behavior, isolation, aggression, or fear, but choose not to intervene or speak up. Why would you do that? Here is another lesson: don't ignore the signs. If something feels off, it probably is. Saying something early could save a life. Domestic abuse is not a private issue. It's a community safety issue. And I'm sure you will agree with me. Number 4, children in violent homes suffer long-term psychological damage. And I'm sure you've seen my story on Obodo Imbo TV. This is the one I have for you. Even if children aren't physically harmed, witnessing domestic violence can cause trauma that lasts for decades, affecting their emotional development, relationships, and even the sense of safety. Do you want that for your children? There is a lesson from that point. Every domestic violence situation should be treated as a child protection emergency. Schools, social workers, and neighbors must stay alert to behavioral red flags in children. You wonder how some parents lose their children to social services in the UK. Families trying to help may also be at risk, but here is a warning. In this case, Lydia's mother may have stepped in to support her daughter, but became a direct target. Abusers may lash out at those perceived as interfering. If they can't harm them, they will try and chase them away. And here is a lesson in regards to that point. Family and friends should still offer support, but must do it safely with professional guidance if possible, police support if needed, and boundaries in place. Being there for a victim does not mean putting yourself in the line of danger, because you don't want to get caught up in whatever is going on ground. Legal and social systems often react after, not before. Why? Here is a warning. Most systems, police, courts, shelters, step in only violence has occurred. Rarely we learn from this. We need stronger preventative structures. Education on healthy relationships, early intervention programs. I know people don't want to talk about this, but it's very, very important we do. Accessible mental health services. Look at the case of that PhD doctor that was killed in Dundee. Legal protections that are enforced quickly and consistently. It must not be when that crime happened that you are now offering help. Offer help before. Silence protects abusers, not the victims. Silence often allows abuse to continue, sometimes for years. Whether it's due to fear, embarrassment, or community pressure, unspoken violence festers and it grows. And here is a lesson in regards to that. Telling your story, even anonymously, can break the cycle for others. Survivors like Lydia, who found the strength to speak up, can inspire others to escape and seek justice. And lastly, the community must not be passive. When people look away, they dismiss signs or avoid getting involved, victims become more isolated, and abusers often feel more emboldened because they were like, oh, people are terrified of them now. But the lesson is this: domestic violence is not just a private matter, it's a public crisis. Every person, whether a friend, co-worker, teacher, or neighbor, has a role in recognizing and responding to signs of abuse. What do you guys think? In regards to these things I've shared, in regards to Lydia's story, this was a case of domestic violence, but more than that, it was a case of silence, of escalation, of overlooked warning and signs. I don't know it all. Okay, a mother is dead, a wife stabbed, a father in jail, and 2 children caught in the wreckage. A family that once celebrated birthdays and holidays is now separated by death, prison bars, and trauma. In Greater Sudbury, the community mourns. In Nigeria, a family awaits for the return of their loved one. And across both countries, people are left asking, how could this have happened? And how could it have been prevented? How? Like I said, we all don't know it all. We learn from people's examples. How? Anyway guys, this is the end of my video. Leave your thought and opinion as always, and I shall see you in another video. Alright? Bye for now.